All right, so we're diving deep today into a book that's really touched a lot of people. Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life.
Over 30 million copies sold, so yeah, there's got to be something there.
Definitely. Why do you think it resonates with so many? What's the magic?
Well, Hayes just got this way of taking these big kind of complex ideas about self-improvement and just making them simple, like anyone can get it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. Her core message: life is really very simple. What we give out, we get back. I'll admit, at first glance, I was like, is it really that simple? But the more I thought about it, it's like, whoa.
Right. It's about recognizing just how powerful our thoughts are.
Yeah.
Our beliefs shape our reality. Whatever we focus on, that's what grows. So dwell on negativity. Guess what? More negativity. But if we cultivate positive thoughts, beliefs, that's when the possibilities open up.
It's like you're putting it out there in the universe, and the universe is like, okay, here's more of that. And Hay takes it even further, right? She says, all dis-ease comes from a state of unforgiveness. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement.
It is, yeah. Might seem controversial at first, but what she's getting at is holding on to anger, resentment, blame. It creates these energetic blockages. And those blockages, well, they can manifest in all sorts of ways, including physical ailments.
This forgiveness is like self-healing, basically.
Exactly. Releasing those negative emotions lets that energy flow freely again. And it's not about, condoning bad actions or anything. It's about freeing ourselves from that burden, carrying it around.
That makes me think about, all those negative thought patterns we inherit from childhood. I know I've got those should statements. They've been with me forever. And Hayes, I should exercise. That was really powerful for me. So simple, but effective in uncovering those limiting beliefs.
Deceptively simple, right? You just write down all those I should statements that pop up in your head, like I should be more successful or I should be a better parent.
When I did it, I was shocked. So many of my shoulds were based on what other people expected, not even what I wanted. Real eye-opener.
Yeah, that's a common one for sure. Those shoulds, they become these invisible bars holding us back from embracing our true selves,
Totally. Another tool Hay talks about is the mirror exercise. And I gotta say, at first I was a bit intimidated by it. Staring into your own eyes and saying, I love and accept you, that's pretty vulnerable.
Definitely takes a willingness to, face your self-worth issues head on.
Yeah.
Lots of people struggle with this one because it forces you to look at yourself with compassion and acceptance.
Got any tips for getting over that initial awkwardness, that resistance?
Well, one way is to, start small.
Yeah.
Instead of jumping right into, I love and accept you, maybe try something like, I'm learning to love and accept you. Baby steps, right? Acknowledging that self-love is a journey, not a destination.
Kind of like Hayes' analogy of mental house cleaning, right?
Yeah.
Got to be willing to clear out those old negative beliefs to make room for the new positive ones.
Oh, that's a great connection. And she stresses that just like, cleaning your house, mental house cleaning takes effort and consistency. It's about becoming aware of those limiting beliefs and then, consciously choosing to replace them with more empowering ones.
Speaking of choosing beliefs, Hayes' story about manifesting a new apartment and car, that one really blew my mind. Such a powerful example of how thoughts can shape our reality.
Right. Powerful reminder that, we're not just passive observers in our own lives. We have the power to create the reality we want by aligning our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
It's inspiring, but kind of scary too. Okay, if my thoughts are that powerful, I better make sure I'm thinking the right things.
And that's where, awareness comes in. Paying attention to our thoughts, our beliefs, helps us start making conscious choices that, support our well-being.
Which brings us to, I think, one of the most fascinating parts of Hayes' work, her perspective on the body, the body as a reflection of our beliefs. She argues that our physical symptoms, they often mirror our mental and emotional states.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where her list comes in, which we'll dive into a bit more in the next part. But for now, just think about this. If your body is a mirror reflecting your inner world, what's it trying to tell you?
Good question to ponder as we head into the next part of our duck dive.
Yeah, let's explore those connections between our thoughts, beliefs, and physical well-being.
All right, so we're back and ready to dig into Louise Hay's list. The one that connects specific ailments to potential emotional roots. This is where those mind-body connection ideas get really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Hay spent years working with people and, she started noticing these recurring patterns. Important thing to remember, though, it's, It's based on her observations and not meant to be a medical diagnosis tool.
Right, of course. It's more like I've been having these headaches lately, and Hay says that could be connected to self-invalidation. Interesting. Like that.
Exactly. It's about exploring the connections, seeing if there's any truth there for you personally. Let's take bladder issues, for instance. Hay connects those to anxiety and holding on to old ideas.
Oh, that makes sense. The bladder's all about releasing, letting go. So if we're clinging to stuff that's not serving us anymore.
Right. It creates that feeling of stagnation, even on a physical level. And then there's neck problems. Hay sees those as symbolizing inflexibility, unwillingness to see other perspectives.
It's like that saying, you're so stubborn, you're going to get a crick in your neck. But Hay takes it deeper, yeah. It's about being open, considering different viewpoints.
Exactly. That resistance to new ideas, it can manifest as tension in the neck, literally blocking the flow of energy.
Hay doesn't just focus on physical stuff, though. She also talks about, like, financial struggles, the emotional roots of those. That's something so many people deal with.
Absolutely. Money is it's such a loaded topic for many. And Hay believes, like our beliefs about money, they directly affect our ability to attract it. You know, if we subconsciously think money is evil or we're not worthy of it, well, we'll probably sabotage our efforts to have abundance.
Oh, I've totally been there. Rich people are greedy, or I'm just bad with money. It's like I was setting myself up for struggle.
Yeah, those limiting beliefs, they're powerful. Hay's all about, releasing them and cultivating an abundance mindset.
Okay, so how do we actually shift those deep-seated money beliefs? That sounds way easier said than done.
Well, Hay suggests starting with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts, feelings around money. Notice any negative self-talk, limiting beliefs that pop up.
And then, challenge them? Like, is this really true? Is this helping me?
Exactly. And then, consciously choose to replace them with more empowering beliefs. Affirmations can be really helpful for that.
All right, let's talk affirmations. They seem so basic, but I know people who swear by them.
They can be incredibly powerful if you use them right. It's not just, mindlessly repeating positive phrases. It's about choosing affirmations that truly resonate with you on a deep level.
So how do you choose the right affirmations?
Well, start by, thinking about the areas where you want to see growth or change. Like if you struggle with self-criticism, maybe try affirmations like, I am kind and compassionate towards myself, or I celebrate my strengths and talents.
And repeat them regularly, make them a part of your routine.
Yeah, exactly. The more we repeat those positive statements, the more they sink in, into our subconscious. Mm-hmm. And that's what starts to shape our beliefs. It's like rewiring our brains for positivity.
It's amazing how Hay connects all these aspects of well-being, physical health, finances, emotions. It's all intertwined.
It is. And that's what's so great about her work. She's got this holistic approach to healing and growth.
We've covered a lot: limiting beliefs, forgiveness, mind-body connection, money, affirmations. I'm curious, what are your main takeaways from You Can Heal Your Life? What really stands out to you?
I think the biggest takeaway is just that we have so much more power over our lives than we realize. We're not victims of circumstance. We have the ability to choose our thoughts, beliefs, actions, and those choices. Well, they create our reality.
It's empowering, but also kind of a big responsibility, right? Like realizing we're in charge of our own happiness, well-being. But I guess that's where the freedom comes in.
Exactly. Hay's work is a reminder that we're not helpless. We have this capacity to heal, to grow, and to create lives filled with joy, love, abundance.
Before we wrap up, anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they're exploring Hay's work, trying to apply it to their lives?
I think the key is to, approach it with an open mind, a willingness to experiment. What works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what works for you and being patient with yourself along the way. Remember, healing is a journey, not a destination.
That's such good advice. Speaking of journeys, time to move into the final part of our deep dive. All right, back for the final part of our deep dive into You Can Heal Your Life.
I gotta say, exploring Hay's ideas, it's really shifted my thinking. Like, wow, there's a whole new way to look at taking control of your well-being.
Right. That's what's so cool about Hay's work. She helps us see ourselves as active participants in our own healing, our growth, not just, passive victims.
Yeah. And one thing that really hit home for me was the whole personal responsibility piece. It's so easy to blame, outside stuff for our unhappiness. But Hay's nope, look inward. Totally. She reminds us that, we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react, how we respond. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions. And those choices, they shape our reality.
It's like we have this internal control panel, but we forget it's there or we're scared to use it.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
And hey, she gives us the tools to access that control panel, to start making choices that, line up with what we want.
So practical steps, like what can listeners actually do to integrate Hay's teachings?
Well, one of the simplest things, but also one of the most powerful, is just, becoming more aware of your thoughts. Throughout the day, just pause. Pay attention to what's going on in your mind. Are your thoughts positive, supportive, or are they, negative, self-critical?
Hitting the pause button on that inner critic.
Exactly. And once you're aware of those negative patterns, you can start challenging them. Is this thought even true? Is it helping me?
And then swap it out for something more empowering. Sounds simple, but I bet it takes work.
It does, yeah. It's like working out a muscle. The more you practice choosing positive thoughts, the stronger that mental muscle gets.
Hay also talks a lot about forgiveness. And I think that can be a tough one for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's often misunderstood. It's not about, saying what happened was okay or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about letting go of that negativity, that burden.
So it's self-care, really.
Exactly. And it often starts with forgiving yourself. Can you forgive yourself for, past mistakes? Can you let go of that self-judgment and embrace compassion for yourself?
Recognizing that, hey, we're all human. We're all just doing the best we can with what we know at the time.
Absolutely. And as we learn, as we grow, we make different choices.
Brings us back to that powerful mirror exercise. Looking yourself in the eye and saying, I love and accept you, even with, all the imperfections.
It's tough, I know. But it's deeply transformative. That simple act of self-love, it can start to heal those deep wounds, the unworthiness that so many of us carry around.
Like we're finally giving ourselves that love, that acceptance we've been looking for from everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And as we fill ourselves up with self-love, we need less validation from outside.
This deep dive into you can heal your life, it's been really eye-opening. So much to think about, to apply to our own lives.
It's been great exploring these ideas with you, and I hope, our listeners feel empowered to take these principles and create positive changes.
Before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. If your body is a mirror reflecting your beliefs, what's it trying to tell you right now? Take a moment. Tune in, listen to those whispers, see what messages are there.
Remember, you have the power to heal your life. And it starts with choosing to love and accept yourself, just as you are.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep believing in your own power to heal.